for Coach K for 4 years. Had a great career there. Got drafted to the NBA, and also played in NBA. Had a great NBA career, and also a very, very good European career after that. So, someone you guys can learn a lot from. Someone that has a lot of basketball experience and success. Daniel on the call here is Principal Rashad Mead, and a couple of us coaches and guys from our program. If you could just let us know about your basketball path, how you feel like you experienced that success, and if the guys can ask you a couple questions at the end, I'd appreciate it.
No doubt. That's what it's all about. Well, a little bit about myself. Kevin already said some of it basketball-wise, but from Texas, grew up in Texas. My family's originally from Florida, but I grew up here. Unlike most of my family, been here since I was 3 from Houston. Man, just grew up playing ball since I was like 5. Had older brothers who I chased around and wanted to be like when I was coming up. They played ball, so I always was around an older crowd of guys at a young age. So that kind of molded my game and my maturity mentally, my psyche, with just being around my older brothers who are much older than I am. They're 10 years to 8 years older than me, respectively. So I was a really young kid at the playground parks and at the gyms, following these guys, trying to be a hooper, trying to be an athlete. And so my love for the sports just grew from that. Just being around sports my whole life, my love for sports grew pretty much from following my older brothers. And my dad was my coach at a very young age. Taught me how to play the game the right way, gave me the fundamentals and the tools that I was able to expand upon as I got better and older and at different levels. So kind of just to fast forward, when things got serious for me, I always played basketball, started AAU, like in the 7th grade. High school, some things got really serious where, I kind of knew I had my goals and dreams of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to become. And in the 9th grade, I told my high school coach that I wanted to be one of the best high school players in the country and that I wanted to be able to go to Duke. And so we wrote down the goals and the plans and what it was going to take to accomplish these things. And from that day forward, I set out to be and to become those things and to achieve some of those goals. And so my high school team was really good. I had 2 of my high school teammates played in the NBA. One of the guys you probably heard of or know of, TJ Ford. He was a lottery pick in the 2003 draft, the LeBron draft. He was the 7th pick, played 9 years. Career was cut short due to injuries. But played together in high school. Another teammate of mine who made it to the pros and played in the NBA was Ivan McFarland. Ivan went to Oklahoma State. He played with the Sixers for a couple of years. But our high school team was loaded, man. One of the best teams in the country. We was ranked number 2 in the country for 2 years straight. We ended up finishing our high school season, our high school career, a 75-1 record. Won back-to-back state championships. Myself and TJ Ford were both McDonald's All-Americans our senior year. I was Texas Player of the Year. All the stuff, man, all the accolades that come with being one of the best players in the country. I was able to achieve it. I was also Academic Player of the Year. I mean, a lot of stuff. And just since we're talking high school basketball and sports, the academics plays a part in that also. So just to rewind a little bit, like I said, my goal was to go to Duke. Or schools in that, the elite schools, which they call the Blue Bloods. I wanted to be one of those schools, but my dream school was Duke, and that's where I really want to go. And so a part of that plan and a part of that process to get there had a lot to do with having my grades right, SAT scores, ACT, whatever the case may be, having the right GPA and all that. So in the 9th grade, I started taking an SAT test, and fortunately for me, I passed it in the 9th grade. So throughout my high school career, I was just hooping. I kept my grades up. I had a 3.5 GPA. I graduated cum laude, top 10% of my high school class. So grades was easy for me in high school. So my biggest thing was just getting better at basketball, working it and improving, and going out and show what I could do, both on at the local level and the national level. So like I said, I was blessed enough to to be a McDonald's All-American, playing that game, had that experience, and was able to get a scholarship offer from many schools, not just Duke, but I mean I was recruited by just about every school in the country. I can tell you the only schools that didn't recruit me were Carolina and Maryland. Like only top programs that did recruit me were those two schools. But I eventually chose Duke, and I spent 4 years at Duke. Wasn't playing that way, but that's how it happened. Obviously, we all think we can and good enough and go to the NBA and, want to take our talents to that next level. But my 4 years at Duke was needed and was appreciated. Played with a lot of good players there. Chris Duhon, J.J. Redick. I played with Jay Williams, with Mike Dunleavy Jr., Colin Boozer, Luau Dean, Sheldon Williams, Dante Jones. Like I said, I had a lot of talent on the teams that I played in my 4 years there. Was only able to make it to one Final Four, and that was my junior year, which I consider one of the best season for me in my 4 years there. Played in the Sweet 16 every year. Every year we made it to the Sweet 16. We won. I think we won the ACC tournament 3 out of 4 years I was there. I was MVP my sophomore year of the ACC tournament, all conference, honorable mention. I had plenty of awards throughout my college career, man. Like I said, I was blessed enough to have a great, successful 4 years of college. Got a chance to get drafted to the Clippers in 2005 draft. I was a second-round pick, 32nd pick, so the second pick in the second round to the LA Clippers. Spent 2 years there, and I'll just talk a little bit about that, man. I tell people all the time, for me, getting drafted was a dream and a curse. It was a blessing, a dream of mine, a lifelong dream to get drafted and play in the NBA. So I'm finally here. But the curse is that the team I was drafted to wasn't necessarily a fit for me, especially from a player development. And at the time, the organization was one of the laughing stocks of the NBA, of a sports team in general. The old LA Clippers organization, much different now with the management they have there, and all the stuff they have in place now. A potential championship team, but when I was there, man, the Clippers were still considered one of the laughing stocks of the NBA franchises. And for a guy like me who was trying to transition in from being kind of like just a natural two guard to maybe a combo or a point guard, I didn't get the necessary development and structure I needed to be ready for that, or to develop into that. So my time with the Clippers was cut short. I was there for 2 years. I did 2 years with the Clippers. Got released in the summer of 2007, and then I took my talents overseas. Where I played for a team by the name of the Berkshire by Kimki Moscow, which is a pretty big club now in Europe. But for me, at the time, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go play overseas. I'm gonna do that for a year, prove that I can, because the knock on Daniel Ewing at the time was that he wasn't a point guard, which I wasn't. I had never played point guard in my life, so that wasn't a genius of an observation that I wasn't a point guard. But for whatever reason, I got stuck with that label that I wasn't a point guard at the NBA level. So I went to Europe in pursuit of trying to prove that I could play point, and I was good enough to play that role, and I had those skills, and I thought I was going to be able to get right back into the league, but it didn't work out that way. I tried a couple of times doing summer league with a couple of different teams, and things just didn't work out. But like Kevin said, I had a very successful European career. Played 12 years in Europe, had a 14-year professional career altogether. I actually officially just retired last year. Played with a team out in Romania to finish the season in 2019, and we lost in the finals. And now, here today, talking to you guys, preparing to try to figure out what's next for me in my journey, in my career after basketball.
Okay. Dan, you can hear me?
I hear you.
All right, cool. So I would like to start off with a couple questions. Right? The first one, you played on some great. Obviously, you play on some great college teams, and I want to get to your NBA career and all that stuff in a second. But you said you played in the Final Four your junior year, correct? What can you say about the teams that you played on and the characteristics of teams that are successful? Like, what does it take to be on a part of a successful team?
Sacrifice. That's the biggest thing, especially when you consider, like I said, I come from a high school team where we was loaded. Like I said, I played with 2 guys on my high school team. 2 other guys on my high school team made it to the NBA. So there was plenty of talent. There's only one ball, so a lot of your individual skills you have to sacrifice. Even though I was a McDonald's All-American, I only averaged 20 points in high school. You know what I'm saying? Considering I was a scorer. But like I said, I had to share the ball with other guys. Other guys was able to do some things also. So I didn't average 28, 30 points in high school. But, I was able to make up for, not having those type of stats with other stuff. And some of that other stuff was, the intangibles, but also just being a part of something bigger than yourself. And the fact that the way we was winning and the streak we had and the success we had as a team also helped. But sacrifice is a big thing if you're going to have a successful team. Like I said, everybody has to play their roles and have to be a star in their role, right? You might not be the star of the team or the main player, but you can be a star in your role. And you take a guy like for Draymond Green, for example. He's a perfect guy to, he's not he's considered somewhat a star, but he's not the star of the Golden State Warriors, right? But he starts in his role. He's vital to that team. He's very important to that team's success. And he accepts that role, and he goes out there and he does what he has to do to help his team win.
I know I played a Holy Cross for a coach named Ralph Willard, and I know the impact that he had on me, not only as a basketball player but as a person. Can you speak a little bit about some things that you took from Coach K that you were able to carry to into your professional career and as a man in general?
Man, a lot. I mean, it's a lot. There's no way you can play for a coach like that. There's no way you can play for any good coach for a long period of time or a short period of time. If there's a good coach and you don't take something away from it. So I was able to play for Coach K for 4 years, man. So that's 4 years of experience and knowledge from his years of, all the players he's coached, all the teams he's had that's been successful. And like I said, for one of the biggest things, he taught me, he advanced my knowledge of playing the game the right way, right? I already had good coaches going into from high school to middle school. Like I said, my dad as a young kid, but he took that and advanced it to another level, of teaching us how to play the game the right way, preparation, right? Preparing, the way he prepared for games. Himself personally as a coach, man, was unbelievable. Looking back on it, right, it was unbelievable. Considering he was getting older, and he was having him dealing with health issues a little bit, and just being a part of something bigger than yourself, right? Like I said, it's easy to say, okay, I want to do something and I want to do that. And how can I accomplish? But how does your dreams and your aspirations and goal fit into the bigger picture of of the team or whatever, or the group or whatever, whatever it may be, right? When you're dealing with other people, in basketball is a team sport. So how can you help push the envelope for everybody, not just yourself? And so like I said, along with that comes sometimes you have to sacrifice something. And that's everybody. You have to sacrifice something. But being a part of something bigger than yourself, and then realizing that you're stronger and you're better together, right? At my high school, our coach had a saying, "Together we can," right? Together we can, whatever. You can fill in the blank, but together we can do it. Like but individually you can only do so much, right? Individually, I could be good, but together we could be great. And so that's some of the biggest things I took away from Coach K.
The last one I'll ask, and I'll let the kids take over from here. I know we played in Europe, there's a lot of people who play in the NBA, but not everybody is able to make the transition and be able to have a career with longevity like yourself, right? What do you think is the difference between the guys who are able to last both in NBA and overseas, and the guys that kind of fizzle out aren't able to have as successful careers as you've been able to have?
A lot of it is mental toughness, right? A lot of it, because I mean, you played overseas. You know, it's a lot of BS that goes on. A lot, right? Dealing with money, just the philosophy. You know, the game is different. The rules are different. So it's a lot that goes on trying to learn the European game of basketball. And it's the same game, but like I said, it takes a full good year or year and a half for you to really understand, you know, the philosophy and the style of play and adjust to it. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, just your mindset, and then also your IQ, right? You know, your IQ for understanding how to play the game the right way. That'll help you on any level, or any style of play. Like if you know how to play the game the right way, then you can adjust and you can adapt and figure it out. And so I think that's the biggest thing. The guys who have a hard time doing that, either mentally they can't do it because it's not easy. Like it's not easy, especially when I was at the top, man. I was at the top, and I felt I should have still been at the top. So my first couple of years, especially my first year, man, I played angry because I was mad that I was over there. I was pissed. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed. I was mad that I was in Europe. So, you know, I made some mistakes just off of that. Just not knowing how to handle things and just being on edge about a lot of things. But my IQ for the game was really helped me, and like I said, my mental toughness of knowing like, okay, because for the first 4 or 5 years, I was all right, man. I'm still young enough, and I'm still good enough to get back in the NBA. So that was my mindset. I never really fully committed to Europe until like year 6 or 7, where I was like, okay, man, this is where I'm gonna be. This is what it's looking like. So let me just try to enjoy it and actually embrace the places that I was at. But the mental toughness and IQ is a big part of why some of the guys can't make that jump.
All right, I think some of the guys are starting to ask questions in the chat. Can you see them?
I saw something pop up.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go back to it. Let me see. All right. Okay. I don't know who. Trey Kennedy, I think.
Yeah.
What do you feel is the closest to being your next step after basketball? Well, for me, man, I want to get into TV. I want to get to TV broadcasting. So, similar to the guys that you see on ESPN, like Jay Rose or those type of guys. I want to be an analyst, a sports analyst, basketball analyst, sharing my thoughts and opinions and my expertise about the game. That or scouting. And if all that fails, then I'll try my hand at coaching. But yeah, coaching is the last thing I want to do if I can avoid it. Scrap. All right, what's a quote or saying that you heard your whole basketball career? Oh man, something that's been impactful, because I mean we hear a lot of cliche quotes and sayings, just being in sports. I was trying to see. I mean, you're always going to hear, work hard, be dedicated. I'm going to tell you one that I learned early on, and I didn't really, and my brother used to say it to me all the time, man. It's like, because my family thought I was a little too unselfish growing up, being that I was a scorer and I played shooting guard. So they used to get on me about, man, you don't shoot enough, and you pass. And so they used to always tell me, you'll always miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And which is not really just a basketball. It don't really just pertain to basketball. If you're just thinking about in life, just saying, hey man, if you want to achieve something, you have to take your shot at it. You have to take a swing at it. And you'll never know if you hit it or if you make it if you don't never take the swing, or if you never don't take the shot. So just whatever you're trying to pursue in life, man, you go for it. Do your research, be 100% behind it, and take your shots. Because you don't know if you can make it or not if you never take it.
That's a great quote for Scrap, the kid that you were talking to just now. Who else is there? Tenny, do you see that one?
Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah. How does teamwork compare to self accolades? It goes hand in hand, really, right? Especially when you win when you win at a high level, and when you achieve some of the highest team goals, or when you achieve some of the highest individual accolades, you understand that they kind of go hand in hand. Because a lot of it, when you understand the game the right way, you understand that some of that stuff you weren't able to achieve, you might have been MVP, right? Well, you needed your teammates to help you win the game in order for you to, if you don't win the game, then you don't win the MVP. So it goes hand in hand. And granted, in different individually talents determine a lot of things. How good you are, individually, how talented you are individually. But like I said, the better your team is, the better success your team has, the more accolades everybody has a chance to obtain. And that goes on that goes for every level: high school, college, pros. Like the better your team does, the better chances everybody has a chance to shine. All right, another one from Trey. Did you ever try to make the shift from a shooting guard to point guard, and if not, why not? Okay, good question. So, like I said, throughout my career up until college, I played off the ball my whole career. I had great point guards. I had a great point guard in high school. I had a great point guards in college, playing with Chris Duhon and Jay Will. And so my senior year at Duke, I actually did play the point for that season. Just like I said, making sacrifices for the team. Coaches and Coach K and the coaching staff thought it would be better, for me to take more responsibility and handle the ball that year, which it hurt me individually, but it gave our team the best chances of winning. Trying to be a Final Four championship team. But when I got to the NBA, I was drafted as a 2 guard. Never practiced. Wasn't getting no one-on-one training and being like, okay, learning how to be a point guard. Everything was off the ball, being a 2 guard, which I was naturally comfortable with. And so my second year, Sean Livingston, who was on the team, he was in his 3rd year. It was when he had that freak possible career-ending knee injury. He goes down. He's out. Sam Cassell, who was on the team at the time also, he was hurt also. So now I'm thrown into the fire, having to be, because we have no other options. I'm having to play that position, and I to be honest, I wasn't prepared. Like I said, I wasn't prepared at all, and I wasn't ready because, like I said, that wasn't what I was practicing to be. That wasn't what the team was. I wouldn't get no reps at that, and so I didn't. The first couple of weeks I didn't do well, and then I got better as I gained confidence. But I got better. But people can tell at the NBA level, guys can smell blood. So guys knew that I wasn't, that wasn't my natural position, and they knew I wasn't comfortable with, trying to be a point guard. So to answer your question, when I go to Europe, that's what I was. I was basically. Ever since I was in Europe, I became a point guard. I played off the ball some for some teams, but mainly I was still responsible for being a playmaker, being a point guard, being the guy who organized the team. And that's how I made my career for 12 years in Europe. But it came through, I was able to get that experience and get those reps in, so I got better each and every year.
Hey, Daniel. Hey, good afternoon, man. I want to thank you for your time. This is Mr. O. I'm one of the educators.
Okay,
I want to know, you play with a number of great players. Who most impressed you and why? Like what made them successful to you in your mind?
On any level?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna tell. Okay, I answer it like this: the best player, and like I said, my career in the NBA wasn't as long, so I didn't get to experience a lot of different talents. So the best player I've ever played with was Jay Williams at Duke, and of course, his career was cut short due to his accident. But yeah, he had everything. Like literally, he had the handles, he had the strength, he had the jump shot, he had the speed, the quickness, he had the athleticism for his size, tough, and he had everything, man. And I never, and like I said, and the way he was built, he had everything, and he was tough minded, man. I've seen him go through a lot. My freshman year was his junior year, and he was predicted to be, he was the player of the year and all. He had a lot of pressure on him, and of course, people. This was before everybody. This before the whole leaving school early was a given. So he had that pressure, trying to come back and repeat as a national championship, trying to live up to the hype, the pressures or whatever outside pressures that I might not have seen. That family and friends, thinking that knowing that he's about to be pro or whatever the case may be, but it didn't affect his game, man, at all. Just to see him endure that, and then also, like I said, also the pressures and the responsibilities that he had for our team. The man and that the Coach K had on, to try to be the best he could be and lead our team. Yeah, he's probably, for me, the best talent I've ever played with. Besides my high school teammate with TJ Ford, but by far Jay Will was probably the most talented guy I played with.
Then we got like 2 more questions in the chat.
Jamar Smith.
Well, before
okay,
that,
I skipped one. Yeah, Zaire.
Yeah.
Do you have any rituals that you perform before a game, and why? All right, then you got another question, so I'll get to that one next. Do you have any rituals that you perform before a game, and why? I don't. I'm not superstitious. Rituals, so I don't have any rituals. Routine. My routine changed. So when I was in high school, it was a little bit different. You kind of really don't know what to do, and you don't really have to do much in high school. Now it's a little bit different because you see what the pros do. You're able to see what the pros do through social media. The different stuff that they put out for you, the content that they put out for you. But when I was coming up, you didn't have that access to seeing what a pro was doing. How they trained or they or what they was thinking of their mindset, and you didn't have any of that access. So for me, it was basically just going in, just trying to be focused. You had your headphones on, listen to whatever type of music that you listen to, trying to get your mind right. That was pretty much my routine throughout my career. As I got older, different stuff changed as far as like the stretching I would do, preparation with a trainer or something before the game. But mostly for me, my thing was no matter what, I had to have my mind right. I knew whether if my mind were right, no matter what else I did, I wasn't gonna be able to perform. So for me, first and foremost, it was making sure I got in the zone where my mind was right mentally to prepare for any game. And that was the first and foremost, like making sure mentally I was prepared for the game. I'm thinking about what I need to do. My mind is clear. You know what I'm saying? I'm relaxed. And that was the biggest thing for me. And as I got older, like I said, stuff changed here and there about stretching or shooting before the game. That's just a personal preference. And it's good. Like I said, you have to find what works for you. But for me, the biggest thing for me was making sure that my mind was right, that I was focused and ready to play, and getting a good stretch in. All right, the second part, you had 2-part question. What's the atmosphere like at Duke? Man, you really can't describe it. You guys probably you watch the game, so you see it, and that, like I said, that doesn't do it any justice. You have to be there live. You have to be there live to really get the experience and the atmosphere and what that feels like. I can't describe it, man. I can't describe it. It's one of the for me. And of course, I'm biased, but it's one of the best. It's definitely one of the top 3 places to play in college basketball. Maybe even all of basketball. Like it's nothing like Cameron Indoor Stadium. And even when we travel though, those games, just being that we're Duke, the 4 letters on our chest, the history and tradition, the players that have come before and after. Each year, it just brings a different type of crowd and excitement to every game. All right, Jamar, did you ever practice on your own to work on what? Yeah, okay, yeah, of course. Like I said, I grew up in the '90s. Born in '83, grew up in the '90s. Like I said, we didn't have the luxuries that you guys have now. With we're having access to seeing how how the pros work or how a top high school athlete work or how a top college player works or, the skills and drills that they're doing. We didn't have that access. So, a lot of the stuff for me, man, was getting out in the front yard and working on my game on my own, shooting the ball. Before I had an actual bat, I had a hoop in my drive, shooting the ball on the house, just dribbling, throwing the ball up against, just different stuff, just trying to be creative, dribbling up and down the street with the ball all day. Like, that was how I got better for a long period of time. Like I said, as I got older, I had coaches and my AAU coach, started doing some stuff with me. I started going to play at different gyms and, started learning what it's kind of like to train. But when I grew up, we didn't do a lot of training. Like, we hoop. That was how you got better. You play 5-on-5. You try to go find the best gym, the best run, wherever it may be, and you hoop. And that's how we got better when I was coming up. But of course, you have to take time on your own. You have to take initiative on your own to get better. Like for a time period like now, like we're dealing with this pandemic and this social distancing, and you might not feel comfortable being around, being at the gym around other people. So how are you gonna get better? You're just gonna sit back and say, well, I didn't do nothing for the 2 or 3 months we was on social distancing. We was doing the coronavirus because I didn't have nobody to help me. I ain't had nobody to train me. Nah, you got to have initiative, and you got to have the will and determination to go out there and do some stuff for your own to keep yourself ready and prepared. And it don't have to be a lot, but it's some stuff that you can do despite having the tools or the equipment. It's plenty of stuff that you can still do to be preparing yourself to get better. This one's from Matthew. Playing with great talent, did you ever feel like you could have done more? If so, how did you overcome that feeling? I answered it like this. So in high school, like I said, I played with great talent, and I was the man on our team, or I was one of the top 2 guys on our team, and so when I went to Duke, I didn't have any. I wasn't intimidated. I wasn't jealous. I understood how to play with other great players, and that I feel like my time would come. But things didn't necessarily work out like I thought they would at Duke, and so it was frustrating. I felt like I didn't get a lot of the credit that I deserved throughout my career. But at the same time, I think my peers, my teammates, and when I say credit, I mean from the media. But my teammates and my peers and my opponents, I think I got a lot of respect in that aspect, from them. So it was frustrating, to every year since my freshman year, they just kept saying I'm underrated. Daniel Ewing's so underrated, and that was for 3 years. I kept getting that mantra, like Daniel Ewing, instead of just saying, hey, this kid is whatever, he's one of the top players. Like, this kid can play. Every year I was the X factor. I was underrated. So yeah, that was a little bit frustrating for me. But I mean, I was always taught that you only worry about the things that you can control. I couldn't control the narrative that the media or that the reporters were putting out on me. I can only go out there and play to win and try to play my best each season.
I have a question. This is Mr. Hanna.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. So given the fact that you played in such a high-level capacity around the world, whether it was the NBA, Europe, Duke, can you just talk to the guys of how important it is to make those around you better? Whether it's just after practice, staying back with someone, putting up free throws, putting up shots, rebounding for each other, teaching your teammate how to box out, clapping when you're on the bench, cheering your guy on, whether he or you get taken out. How important it is to bring your brother up when you're playing in such a high level capacity.
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. I'll tell you this, though. It has to be learned. And for very few, it's natural, because not everybody's a natural leader. Not everyone has those instincts to understand the talents and strengths that they have, that they impact others, and that they can help others. So for a lot of stuff like you're talking about, it has to be learned, and it has to be learned and cultivated through a culture of this is what we do, this is how we do things. But yeah, it's very important, man, because like I said, not every game or every situation is going to come down to the best player. Sometimes that role player, that guy who's the third, fourth guy off the bench might have to come in and for whatever the game situation calls for, and he has to be ready, right? And so, if he's getting built up in practice every day, by the guys who play more, and see that he's valuable, and they're clapping him up, encouraging him every day. Then, when he has that moment, he's ready. He's not, he's prepared because he knows his teammates believe in him, and so he's out there and he's ready to do what he has to do, and he's able to perform. But yeah, just little things like that, man. Just stand out to the gym. So if guys, just say a guy who's a good shooter, and a guy struggling with his shot, that guy, you stand out to the gym and pulling that guy to the side. Say, hey man, let's work on. Let's get these 5 spots in. We're gonna make 10 shots at each spot. We're gonna do 2-ball shooting together. Let's that stuff. It goes a long way, and it builds a camaraderie. It builds a bond between the team, between teammates and the team. That shows up deep in the season. And people don't. Well, why these guys are so close? Why? But it's because of the stuff like that you don't see. The time that you put together after practice or before practice, and even the time that you spend off the court. That's valuable. And not everybody's going to be close, but that's what builds a great team. Also, the chemistry that you guys have off the court is valuable. Like I said, not everybody's going to be close, and one guy's going to be closer to another. But just guys being around each other and actually enjoying each other, man, outside of the court is important, especially in high school. It's important, man, to the success of the team.
And the last thing I wanted to ask again, despite not always agreeing with the coach, you may not understand what your coach is saying at the time when you're in the game. How important is it for you to listen, stay disciplined, and trust the process?
Vital. That keeps you on the court, man. That's what's going to keep you on the court. Like you said, you might not always understand or agree with what your coach is saying, right? But at the end of the day, he's the coach, and I had to learn this the hard way, and that was more so at the professional level in Europe. But if the coach asks you to do something, man, you do it his way, and you try to do it the best way you can. That way, he can't point a finger at you and say that you went against the game plan, or you trying to do your own thing, even if it don't work. If you go out there and even if you don't agree with it, you go out there and try to execute it the best way you can, even if you think like man, this is agree with this, or I heard you're supposed to do this another type of way. Go out there and do it the way the way the coach trying to get you to execute it. Try to do it your best, and then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, then you have a little leeway to be like, okay, coach, like we tried it your way. Well, what do you think about this? And then it's a part of maturity, but also, it helps with the communication. And any good coach will realize, he'll come to a common ground, like, you know what, okay, we'll try. We tried it my way, or it didn't work the way I thought it was gonna work. All right, let's look at it like this, and but. Always try to do things the way the game plan your coach draws it out to be, and try to do it, like I said, try to do it to make it work, because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna keep you on the court. Because if you go against what the coach say, for the most, I don't know too many, especially kids, a coach gonna allow them just to do whatever they want, and let them get away with it. So man, you have to. It's like anything else, you have to follow the rules, man, and that'll help you out.
I have a question. Being that you mentioned Jason Williams, who is probably one of the top 25 greatest college players of all time, and understand that there's different forms of leadership, how did he demonstrate his leadership amongst the guys?
Jay Will, he wasn't the most vocal guy. Like I said, he was a junior at the time when I was there, so he had learned from. He had been under great leadership. The year before they had just won the national championship with Shane Battier, who I didn't get to play with, but from the stories and what was portrayed of him on TV, and in the media, a great leader for that team. So learning from him, playing with Jay Will was freshman year, he was young freshman. Guys like Chris, who was ACC player. So those experiences help, man. Being, like I said, for a lot of people, you have to be, in order to be a good leader, You have to be a follower. You have to be a great follower first, right? To understand what it takes. You have to have a good example of of what leadership is, and then you implement your style into when you get into that role of being the best leader that you can be. But to answer your question, I would say Jay Wood's more of he's more of a lead by example type guy. Right? Like I said, he would say his piece about what needs to be said. But at the end of the day, you could never say Jay Will didn't work hard and that he didn't go out there and do what he had to do to try to help the team win.
I have another question, Daniel. I mean, it's without saying that being a son of one of the top 50 greatest NBA players, like you always had a lot. I mean, I'm sure you heard a lot of people always spoke about your father, but what did you pick up from seeing him play or conversations you and him had about the game, man?
You talking about Pat Ewing?
I think you're thinking about a different Ewing, brother.
Oh, pardon me. My fault.
Nah. What? No relation. No relation to Pat Ewing, man.
Nah, man.
I apologize, brother.
Nah, it's all good.
We got 2 more questions in the chat.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Being able to see a lot of talent in players, what's some things that hold players back from their full potential? Oh, some things that hold players back. I would say a lot of the time it's not really understanding. Like I said, not understanding the game, right? Not being taught how to play the game the right way. So it's a lot of talented players, but that don't know how to play the game the right way. That's one thing that can hold a guy back that has potential. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just not understanding how to play the game the right way. And then also, obviously, a guy who can't remember plays, unless you just super talent, right? That's going to affect you eventually down the road. Not being able to remember plays and execute plays, But like I said, I think the biggest thing is a guy not understanding how to play, and then a guy who doesn't listen. A guy who can't take instructions in coaching, and whether constructive criticism or criticism period, like who doesn't know how to take it and apply it to the best way he can to execute it out on the court.
Hello, Daniel. This is Principal Me. I know you mentioned earlier how you were able to pass the SAT in the 9th grade, and obviously going to an elite school like Duke, you had to maintain that balance between being a student athlete and excelling in class. So what was your approach to having that balance, and what allowed you to kind of maintain that momentum from 9th grade on through college, academically, as well as athletically, the balance?
Y'all want me to give y'all the politically correct answer, or y'all want me to give y'all the real answer?
A balance.
But yeah. So no, in high school, man, I like I said, I had dreams and goals, right? And that's a part of having academic excellence was a part of that process of making it to college, right? So I understood early on, and also, just my parents, my parents wasn't going to have me just being mediocre in school, but it was what was required to make it to college, right? Having good grades, having passed the SAT, that was required. So it was something that had to be done. It was no getting around it. So all right, so even though I didn't enjoy school, I did, I was able to excel, especially in high school. I was able to excel because it's what had to be done in order for me to reach my goals. But like I said, that was my focus. I understood that early on. So it was never no doubting about that. All right, this is what has to be done. So the balance was easy for me because I understood it early on. Like, all right, in order to play, in order to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, the academic side of it, part of it has to be just as good as my basketball side. And then in college, it's just a little bit tougher. Like I said, going to Duke, a very prestigious academic school, but you have less time, and obviously the work is harder, just depending on what type of educational background you come from. I come from a public school, So going to Duke, a private institution, like I said, one of the top schools in the country, I didn't necessarily get taught all the things I need to be taught in public school to be prepared for college. So for me, my first year was it was an adjustment. But like I said, once again, just knowing that this is a part of the process in order to be eligible to play, you have to go out there, you have to go to class and do the necessary things, use your resources, study hall, academic advisors. Like you have to use all these people, all these resources, and all the help that you have available to you as a student athlete. You have to use these resources the best way you can to stay eligible and still be able to go out there to practice every day and perform and play.
I think we have one more question from Jamar in the chat, and then you can go, bro. I appreciate the time you taking out for us.
No, it's all good. Okay. How was the energy and vibe at Duke in practice? Man, it was just as good, if not as better as games most of the time. Like I said, considering the talent that we have every year on our teams, man, you got to get after it in practice, man. Like and Coach K and the staff, they demand that, right? So it's practice it's a certain type of energy and tone that we as the players have to set in practice every day on our own, or else Coach K will be like, man, you guys wasting my time. Y'all come back tomorrow. Y'all try this again tomorrow. But yeah, practice was tough. It was tough. It was energetic, and it was high intensity every practice, just about every practice.
I got one more question, bro, before you go. When you speak about your journey, it seems like you've been in a lot of different situations and positions in your career, right? Like you're coming out of high school, All-American, where you and TJ Ford are the top players in probably the state. Then you come into Duke, where now you're a freshman and you're playing with Jay Williams. And so there's a different dynamic, being the man on your team in high school to come into a situation where there's an All-American guard. Then being the man at Duke, then going to the NBA and having to start that process over, then going to Europe. What could you say about the mental toughness needed to adjust to all these different situations? And what do you think made you successful on all these steps along the way?
Honestly, man, I think a lot of it, like I said, for me, I was kind of groomed for this, man. Like I said, my brothers are so much older than me, right? Just the things I went through as a kid, trying to play with them and play with their friends, and just getting roughed up, and just that taught me the mental toughness, and just to have that type of psyche, right, to be able to deal with the different adversities that I had to go through, but also having a support system that I had, my family, my parents, my brothers. That support system helped too, because like you said, once I went to Duke, man, it wasn't all peaches and cream for me, like, especially after my freshman year, right, which I understood I wasn't going to be a starter, which I was cool with that, and I was going there, in hopes that our team was going to be a repeat, be back-to-back champions. So I understood my freshman year, but then my sophomore year, when things were kind of wishy-washy, it's kind of got rough. So just leaning on my parents and my brothers, man, for their help and their prayers, like that's a lot too. My faith was a big part of being able to make those adjustments also, man. Just staying in faith and believing that I have the ability to get the job done, but at the same time I also had I was going to rely on the strength, God to give me the strength and the endurance to endure these things while I was going through them.
Cool. Well, listen, man, thanks again for coming out to speak to these guys. I've always, even when we were opponents and even watching you at Duke, I was always respected your game, always respected you as a player. And I hope these guys took the lessons that you were able to pass down to them today and apply it to their careers. But I really appreciate you taking out the time today, man.
Kevin, man, I appreciate you having me, man. Like I said, hopefully I wasn't rambling too much and you guys kind of understood and was able to take away some good stuff, man. Hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of jewels to put in your pockets and to take with you from here on out.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
Talk to you guys later.
Take care.